Hello viewers, yes, exams are knocking at the door. Next week you are to sit for your exams, you are to take your exams, the board exams 2025 ISC literature. So this video, the thumbnail says it all, I know. Very important ones are how to handle your prose and poems. So which are the important ones? So I keep on telling that this time ISC is quite difficult. You have no choice, practically no choice. Regarding the MCQs, it covers the whole of your syllabus. So you have to study each and everything, and then the because questions, of course, that also makes it a must for you to study each and every chapter. But what is more difficult are the questions in prose and poems. Same for Macbeth. In prose and poems, you have 5 prose and 5 poems. So the syllabus has been very less. Earlier they had got 10 prose and 10 poems, but since this time it is a bifurcated syllabus and you are only to study the 12 syllabus. So the chapters are not much. But since the chapters are not much, the examiners or the paper setters, they have made it clear that none of you should leave any chapter. Because if you are doing it is at your risk. You must have noticed that you are getting 2 5 marks question. So 2 chapters gone. And then another, there is a choice between this and that. So in all 4 questions are coming, from which you will attempt 3, but you cannot make your choice because the first 2 are compulsory. The only choice is in the 10 marks question, 2 10 marks question, this or that. So you don't know which one will be the 10 marks question, that you can leave one and study and write the other. So the safe thing is to study everything, and for your MCQs and the because questions you have to. There is no escaping it. So which are the chapters you should focus more so that you get a complete full marks in your boards? Complete 10 out of 10, yes, you can get, provided your grammar is correct and your answers are to the point. It's not that you cannot get a perfect 10 out of 10 or perfect 5 out of 5. So in the specimen paper, if you have noticed, there are 4 chapters in prose. I mean, not 4 chapters in prose. Out of the 5, 4 chapters have been mentioned. So in my opinions, there should be a choice between Atithi by Rabindranath Tagore and Indigo by Satyajit Ray. But since this is your first year, there is more chance of Atithi coming. Atithi by Rabindranath Tagore. Of course, Rabindranath Tagore, in comparison to Satyajit Ray, he is much more versatile. With no disrespect to Satyajit Ray, he is also a master in his field. But in comparison, and also because it is the first chapter of your prose piece, and this is your first year. So, and in the specimen paper also it has been mentioned. So Atithi is very probable. And I am ruling out Indigo this time. Why? Because 2 Indian authors, there is very less possibility of 2 Indian authors coming. So in that case, after Atithi, you have the other chapters, the medicine bag, the cookie lady. They are all very probable. So you must have seen it in your questions in your specimen paper. So in Atithi, the character of Tarapal, or his wandering lust, his lust for wandering. How, in spite of getting so much love and affection, how easily he cuts out the ties. He cuts the ties of these loving bonds and frees himself and goes away from one place to other. First he leaves his family, then the people, whoever he meets on his wanderlust or in the course of his wanderings, and they all shower him with affection, but he doesn't stay at any place for long. So this is very important, the wandering lust in Tarapad. Regarding Cookie Lady, this is a strange story. The Cookie Lady and her desire to be young, and how she catches. Babbar is not the only one. He is not the only one. It's the story, from the story we get to know that there have been others also. So, how her lust to remain young makes her trap young children, and then she extracts the youth from them, their vitality and youthfulness from them. And how does she do it? With the help of her cookies. And this fellow, he is fond of cookies, and naturally she entraps him like a spider entraps an insect in the web. In the same way, she attracts Babbar with the help of cookies, and he becomes more or less a daily visitor. His parents, they sense something odd about this lady and they forbid him from going. So the moment she gets to know that this is his last visit, and whenever he returns from her house, he seems to be drained out. So these, you have to mention, you have to remember the story, what happens one by one. And finally, when she knows this is his last visit, and how she tries to extract all the life source from within him. And when he reaches the house, they don't, and the parents open the door, they don't find anything of him. Only a sort of weed or something blown in the wind. So this is a very strange story. So Atithi, then you have the Cookie Lady, and then there will come soft rains. This tells us of a dystopian society. It's the opposite of utopian. In class 10 boards also, there is one, The Pedestrian by Ray Bradbury. Here also you have of Ray Bradbury, a dystopian. So some catastrophe has happened and it has deprived the place of human beings. The house is deprived of human beings, but the machines, they keep on going. They keep on. Mechanically, everything goes on. And finally, everything is destroyed. So, there will come soft rains. Very important story. So, read it because there are a lot of details here. How the machines function, the alarm clock and what is to be done, the robots, even the robotic mice, they come and do their job. So, the small details you have to study in this one. And the last one is the medicine bag. How to the young boy, his grandfather initially seems to be an embarrassment. But he is someone who follows his tradition, and the way he hands over the medicine bag to his grandson. And the embarrassment which he had felt when he had seen his grandfather come to their home. But on seeing the reaction of his friends, how they react, they are so impressed by his grandfather that he starts feeling proud. So the two feelings of the grandson, initially embarrassment and later pride. So this, with focus on this, you have to prepare this chapter. So this is regarding your prose, how you have to handle it. And regarding your poems, in this poem, first one, telephone conversation. Then you have Tithonus and Beethoven. Small towns and the river, death be not proud. So these are the 5 you have in your syllabus. Of this, 4 should come. 2 for the 10 marks, this or that, and telephone, and then the 2 for the 5 marks. So in my opinion, though in your specimen paper, small towns and the river has been ruled out, but I personally feel, it is my opinion, I'm not saying it will come, but in my opinion, small towns and the river can come because it is by an Indian poet, Mamang Dai. And regarding Tithonus and Beethoven, I think one should come, not both. This is my assumption. Why? Because both are in both the focus has been given on one person. In Tithonus it is Tithonus, and in Beethoven it is Beethoven. So I think from these two one should come. This is my probability. It may go wrong. I'm not saying that this is right, but if you are to make, if the board examiners, they think in the way I'm thinking, they might rule out one. So in that case, telephone conversation, one from Beethoven and Tithonus, and Death Be Not Proud. So in this case, if a 10 marks question comes from any of these, if a 10 marks question comes, it might come either from Beethoven or Tithonus. I wouldn't say from both. So in that case, you can focus less on one. So small towns and the river is my bet that it is coming. Death Be Not Proud will be there. And of the two, one should come. So if Tithonus comes as a 10 marks question and you have not done it, and then you can leave that out in your exams. So, and telephone conversation. So in the specimen paper, though the small towns and the river has been left out, but I don't think that everything which is mentioned in the specimen paper, they will come. So in my opinion, I think they might bring in this one, and of the two, leave one, because these are both one particular person. This is of Beethoven and that is of Tithonus. So this is my logic. And regarding this one, what type of questions can you expect? So how does the poet refuse to accept the awful power of death in the poem Death Be Not Proud? So these are more easy to handle. More or less the summary discussing it in a critical manner, and this is 5 marks. Regarding another 5 marks, the focus of the poem Small Towns and the River is on life and death and their association discussed. So this is a very simple one, a short summary where life and death, these are the themes of the poem. In my earlier video on this particular poem, I have said that the poet tries to discuss the themes of life and death. So this is a very easy question. And regarding this one, I told you, who was Tithonus? Why was he unhappy? Though he was blessed with immortality. So you are to expect these type of questions. And discuss with close reference to the poem Tithonus. So in this one, there are 4 parts. Who was Tithonus? Part 1. Why was he unhappy though he was blessed with immortality? There are 3 parts. This second part and third part. So 10 marks question, you will handle it in 3 paragraphs, not everything in one. If you are to score very good marks, listen to what I say. 3 separate paragraphs for the 3 parts. Who was Tithonus? Write it maybe in 2 to 3 lines, and of the remaining 7, or maybe in 2 lines you write, and of the remaining 8 marks, 4 and 4. So you will write accordingly in 2 comparatively bigger paragraphs. Or I said there is always a choice between Tithonus and Beethoven. So you can leave one, but don't leave anything. But while writing your answer, you can leave out one. In the poem Beethoven, the poet has touched upon the greatness of Beethoven as a composer. Elaborate and illustrate. So this is an essay type question. You can write it in 1 paragraph. It is not mandatory that you have to write in 2 or 3 paragraphs. But if you write it, no problem. And then another set of questions. Here we find telephone conversation. What type of question should you expect? Why does the landlady insist on knowing about the exact skin color of the prospective tenant in the poem Telephone Conversation? 5 marks. And then again in the poem Tithonus, how does the speaker Tithonus recall his youthful days? So these are short questions of his youthful days. But these are compulsory. And how is death treated? So Death Be Not Proud seems to be an important poem. Study it very well. Focus very much on it. This is again a 10 marks question. Why is the poem included in the Holy Sonnets of Dawn? And when you are discussing sonnets, write what you understand by sonnet. In your introduction, write what you know about sonnets. 14-line poem, Petrarchan sonnet, Shakespearean sonnet, and why is it holy sonnet? If you see in your workbook also, you will find something about sonnets, or you can hunt in the nets and go for why is it called holy sonnet. So it is from the collection of holy sonnets. This is one poem. So these will be a part of your answer. And again, small towns and the river. So though in the specimen paper it is not there, my bet is small towns and the river. So please don't leave it out. Embodies an essentially Indian experience and thought. Since it is Indian, I'm focusing more on it. I'm stressing more on this one. Discuss with close reference to the text. So life and death or Indian perspective. And then again Beethoven, small towns and the river for your 5 marks question. And then Death Be Not Proud and telephone conversation. So in this case, I think Beethoven seems very important. In many of the pre-board question papers also, I have seen Beethoven coming. So anyway, don't leave out small towns and the river. So you can focus more on Tithonus and Beethoven because one is sure to come from here. And telephone conversation is easy. While you prepare for your MCQs only, if it comes also, it is not that you will not be able to handle. But Tithonus and Beethoven need more stress, means you need more focus to remember and handle these. So Tithonus, Beethoven, small towns and the river, and Death Be Not Proud. So my bet are that these are more important, and of Tithonus and Beethoven one should come, or if it comes in your 10 marks question, this or that. So the choice is yours, but as I told you will have to study everything. ISC has, by giving you the specimen paper, ISC has made it clear that no shortcut method. Which you are to focus more or where you have to focus more, that is what you need just before exams to practice. So, bye for the time being, and yes, best of luck for all of you.